Coming up on episode 164 of Creative Writing, I'm talking about whether or not you should promote your very first book.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Creative Writing. I am so glad that you are here. Whether this is your first or 164th time listening to the show, you are welcome. Not in the sense like you're welcome for the great content, although I hope it is, but you are welcome here as a part of the listening community. And I hope you actually go join the Facebook community where you can talk to other listeners of the show over at creativewriting.com/community. But yeah, this is it. This is the show for you. It's for writers, bloggers, and creatives who want to build an online platform without being smarmy. And I'm Kirsten Oliphant, your host. So glad to be here. I'm actually super excited because this week I was voted number one. And I'm not clear for sure whether this was like a, based on like number one is like number one, or we just happened to put it as number one. I'm going to pretend like it was like I'm number one. Smart Blogger came up with a list of 31 writing podcasts and I topped that out. So I'm feeling like, okay, cool. Just in time for summer where I'm doing these shorter episodes answering your questions. Hopefully that's okay. Maybe your summer is like mine where you just are not going to have the same amount of time you usually do because my time, wow. It's a little insane. So that's what we're doing this summer is I'm hoping to do weekly content, but I'm not holding myself to it. So some weeks you may be disappointed. I'm just doing what I can with 5 kids home for the summer. But I'm going to be answering your questions. So if you have them, you can email me. You can ask on Twitter. I'm Kiki Mojo on Twitter and most social media places. Send me an email, kirsten@creativewriting.com, or again, join the Facebook community and ask your questions. And today I'm answering a question that was asked actually in a different group, but by one of my community members. And when I was looking through the list of questions that have been asked so far, a lot of them are like a bigger topic. And I don't know that I need to like break them down or something because they're just too big for like a mini episode. But this is a great question. And I hear this a lot. There's rumors about whether or not you should promote the first book in a series or your first book in general. And here's kind of the thought process, because you might be thinking that you've heard this, or you might be like, that sounds crazy. Why wouldn't you promote every book? And exactly, yeah, all books are important. That doesn't mean your first book or first book in a series isn't important. However, one of the things that happens the more books you write is that you have a backlist. So backlist is, not your most recent books. It's basically all the books you've written before. So when you're putting your advertising dollars, however you're putting them, Facebook ads or paid email promotions or other things, however you're putting them, you have other books. Like if your people buy the one book, then they're going to go back and write or buy the other ones if they liked it. So you have more opportunity to make more money, which is always exciting, right? You want to get the ROI, return on investment, for the money that you're spending. And so that's a really good thing to do, right? Right. So here is kind of my take on that whole thing. Say you're writing, and I'll kind of share what I did when I was launching Emma, but say you're putting out your first book. And it matters too whether this is in a series or not, because I'll get into like a series that has to be read in order in a second. I'll kind of save that for later. But say you're writing fiction. It's either a book that's in a series that has standalones like romance, where you don't have to read the books in order. They might have some characters that connect, but they might not. You don't have to read them in order. Or just one book, and you're going to write other books in that same genre with that name. So when the first book comes out, I absolutely think you should promote it. However, especially if it's the first, you might want to hold back a little bit. And I have other episodes where I talk about sort of, when you should invest and when you should not invest. And I recommend bootstrapping. I recommend starting out slow and then growing. And the reason that I recommend this is because you're going to make mistakes. In fact, I have actually spent the last 2 months basically redoing the first 3 books that I wrote as Emma St. Clair. The first book I actually took off and made a reader magnet. So it's not on Amazon anymore. You can't buy it, but you can get it for free. And you guys may not be interested. If you're interested in that, it's emmasaintclair.com/free book. And the reason that I did that is one, I do still really like the book. And want to grow my email list. So it's a great offering. It's a full-length book that I'm offering in exchange for my email address for people to join my list. But also, I hadn't researched enough in the market, so it doesn't quite hit everything perfectly. I think it's good enough to get some readers on board who will like my style and want to stick around for more books. And there's some related characters in other paid books, so it might hook those people into the characters and world that I'm building. But it wasn't ever my bestseller. And so that's what I mean. Like, if I had invested thousands of dollars into the book, maybe that would have come back, but I'm not sure that it would have. I just don't think that book was ever going to be my best performer. And yours might be the same. Maybe you're the person who's going to have that standout first book. That happens, but maybe not. And I think it's okay, especially if you don't have a giant budget going in. But sometimes people with giant budgets blow the budget because they're not being careful enough. And they just waste the money on things that they shouldn't. So I don't think you should not promote it, but I think you should be careful and wise in how you spend that money, because you're going to get better and you're going to make mistakes with the first things that you do. So yes, you can promote it. But when you have a second book and a third book, I know for me, with each increased book, I increased my budget, and I also increased, at least at first, there was definitely a direct, jump up in terms of my income, and then it kind of plateaued, and now it's like crazy up and down. But I definitely hit at least a plateau of $4,000 a month. Sometimes it's way more, sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's right at that mark. And so that's, something that is hugely different from last year when I was making, at first, I'm not sure. I need to look at what I was making in May. I think in May, maybe I broke $1,000, but I'm not sure. So either way, it's great comparatively. Hopefully you guys can't hear the Great Dane barking in the background there. But with each book, I was able to increase that budget, and I saw a bigger ROI, return on my investment, because I had other books that would sell, especially if it's a series, even if they're interconnected. So my, interconnected, but are still standalones. My romance books, most of them, I have kind of two main series. The books that have done the least well are standalone books, which means they're not part of a series. But the series, even though you don't have to read them in order, they sell each other well, because once people read one in the series, they want to read the others. So I will say the series sell better. If you're doing a standalone, a bunch of standalones that are not part of a series, I've found those just, for me, don't sell as well. And when I do like a free book day, I don't get as much read through on my other books. So those series really are powerful. Now, if you're doing a series where they're interconnected, I'm not saying don't spend money on the first book. However, you're not going to want to spend a ton of money on the second book promoting it, because you're going to want people to read that first book first. So it's almost like when the second book comes out, you're kind of going to promote that first book as well. And I'm not saying don't promote the second one. And I'm going to test this out, because I'm going to have an interconnected series that I'm hoping will be done later in this year. And so I'll see how that goes. But when people get an email and there's a 99-cent book, sometimes they just click because it's like, 99 cents. But if they're getting the second book in a series and they don't realize it, that makes readers mad sometimes. They want to read them in order if they need to be read in order. So I think it's really important that when you have that second book, you're promoting the first book as well. Yes, you want to tell your fans that are currently your fans and on your email list and in your Facebook group, here's the second book. But when it comes to paid promotions, when the second book is out, you might want to be promoting the first. And some of these, the paid promotions, and if you want to look at paid promotions, one of the episodes where I talk about this is, it's episode 142. So you can go to creativewriting.com/142 to look at paid promotions and the things that I recommend. But some of them don't let you promote the same book within 3 months. So if you promote it once, book one, when it first comes out, then book two comes out and you're still within that 3-month window, you can't use that same site to promote the first book. So you need to keep that in mind. Just be kind of thinking about that. I'm not saying don't promote book one in a series that's connected. when book one first comes out, but you also want to consider that when you promote book one, when book two is already out, you're going to get more bang for your buck because you're going to have read through if your book is successful and people really like it. So that's kind of my long-winded, short answer to that question is, should you promote your first book? And to give kind of a more from the heart answer here, because that was sort of the very practical answer, but my from the heart answer is, I will say that every book of mine is a baby. They are all my babies. I really, you have this emotional attachment to them, even as I'm writing to make money, but I'm also writing because I love writing. And so these books, they matter to me. There's emotional investment. And so the idea of giving books away for free, the idea of not giving each book its own due, of not giving each book its own time and promotion, I don't like that idea, but I do think it's important to be practical with it. And, so kind of as a side example of that, just when I was in college, I, for a while, wanted to be a songwriter, kind of professionally. And I realized eventually I was not good enough to do it professionally. But I did write a ton of songs. I mean, I think I had one notebook that I wrote them all down in, the words and chords and all that stuff, because I play guitar as well. And I think I had over 100 songs, and most of them were really terrible. And but as I wrote a song, what happened with every song that I wrote is I became better. Every song that I wrote, I learned a little something about the process. I gained some more confidence. I learned how to do a new style on guitar. Maybe not with every song because there's not that many styles. I'm not that great at guitar, but maybe I picked finger picking, and now I'm doing finger picking with 3 fingers. Here I'm doing it with 5. Here I'm doing bar chords. Here I'm doing something else over here, different rhythm and tempo, different kind of song. And with the lyrics as well, I was trying something different, and not always consciously, like, let's try something different. But that's how it was. Each song was a stepping stone. And while they all mattered, they weren't all for public consumption. When I played at bars and open mics and opened up for friends' bands, there were a lot of songs that never made the set list and that I've now forgotten. Because really, how did I write 100 songs? I really have no idea. I need to find this notebook. It's shut up somewhere in a box with all my college stuff. But yeah, I think with the books too, I have seen this for sure. And this is why I've spent 2 months updating these books that are still my baby. But I think it's okay and smart market-wise for me to make those books better. I learned things along the way, and I'm not ready to give up on those babies, and I just want to make them better. So I think from a marketing standpoint, it's good to be wise with where you're spending your money, but it's also, we can have that emotional attachment, and that's okay. Just, again, remember why you're doing it. Are you writing and doing all this for the love, or are you doing it for the money? Because that is really going to change your motivation. And if you want more on that, you can look at episode 161. That'll be creativewriting.com/161. Now, I'm not going to do show notes for these quick episodes. Probably. If I do have them, some of them I might, then I will link to those or tell you guys about them. But I'm not going to do one for this episode. Maybe later. But for now, I'm not going to. And that's kind of my long and short answer of promotion, is that yes, promote the first book, but consider holding off some of the funds and the things that you have, because as you go, you'll have more of a backlist and you'll be better at what you're doing. So there is my final answer for you guys in this first quick creative writing episode. This was kind of fun. So this is what you have to look forward to over the summer. And I would love more questions because I've got some really beefy questions I'm trying to figure out how to tackle. So tag me on Twitter at KikiMojo. You can go to the Facebook group, creativewriting.com/community. Or you can just email me, Kirsten@creativewriting.com. Thanks again to Smart Blogger for featuring me. That's really exciting. I've gotten some more people joining the group and other things. If you found me through there, hi. I'm really excited that you guys found me through there. And Smart Blogger, you guys are amazing. I liked you before. I'm not going to say I like you more now, even if it's true, but thank you. Another thanks to Jasmine Commerce of JasmineCommerceMusic.com, who is fantastic. And you are right now listening to her amazing voice as she's singing. Now, she's someone, I've said this before on the podcast, she actually did make it. She and I played not together, but at the same places in college or the same year. And she actually did make it because she's that good. And she has lent her voice and her song to the podcast. So thank you so much, Jasmine. I appreciate you listening. And now it's time for you to go out and create content that you love to serve your people well.